This is the riverside town of Bideford in North Devon. We're looking down the River Torridge now towards the sea. Across the River Torridge at this point is the old bridge. It stood here for more than 600 years with suitable modifications and repairs, of course. This is the parish church of St Mary's. There are a few memorials in the churchyard itself. This is quite an early one. Robert Down, 1808, and then his wife Catherine, 1816. So we're looking at something over 200 years old. A smaller stone in height, in memory of an infant child. Over at the back we've got Mary, the daughter of John and Mary Williams of this parish, Bideford, and she died July the 28th, 1820. This is another very early one, Elizabeth Williams, the wife of John Williams, 1812, aged 77 years. This is William Coursey, the son of William and Elizabeth Coursey. And then you see a mistake that the mason has made, where he's got 1853 and then over the top 1854. He died aged 17 years. Up in the top corner here is William Radden, formerly an artist of celebrity in London. Now, a quick check tells me the National Portrait Gallery holds 8 of his works. But he died here in Bideford in 1848, aged 73. Some distinctive wording. William Bennett, who fell a victim to death, 1829, aged 51. And out at the back is this large table tomb. On the side it tells me it's John Edward Vellacott, but there's quite a lot of names on top. The first name is Anthony Handford, and I'm seeing a date a little further down of 1790, and as we go down there's a whole list of names. This is John Ellis, who was a maltster of this town, 1845, aged 75. Quite a lot of the memorial stones have been cleared from the churchyard and then stood leant against this wall of the church. And in some places they've been used to reinforce the wall here. There's quite a drop the other side of this wall. Just by the entrance to the church is this recent plaque commemorating someone from 1589. The church is open, but there are a number of people in there preparing for a concert in an hour or so's time. Quite a sizable church when you enter it, and a lot of memorial plaques on the walls. And as usual, they're very high up and difficult to read with the eye, but the camera will do a clearer job, I'm sure. Come down beneath that one. And we've got Sir Philip Prothero Smith. And if we come down to eye level, Harry Arthur Harvey. High above this door is one to Thomas Bernard, 1828. And then further along there's this chap. His bust is mounted on the wall. I don't know whether the camera can pick up the name beneath. Up near the altar is the effigy of this knight. I don't get a name from the inscription, but I'll try and add one later for you. Well, I've left the parish church and I've come up the hill to Old Town, and this is the old cemetery. And what a marvellous spot. It's been allowed to grow wild with all the flowers and grasses, and it just feels so sort of interesting. It's got quite a mysterious but pleasant feel about it. Most of the stones you have to work your way through the long grass and wildflowers to reach. I can make this one out. This is James Brownscombe of this town, Bideford, 1871, aged 76 years. Joseph Jewell of this town, 1872, and then Martha, his daughter, and then Mary, the wife of John H. Bowden, aged 47 years, and the plant is hiding the year, I'm guessing about 1870. Some of the stones are hidden away under the trees in sort of little hiding places. John Padden of this town, who died in London, 1873, aged 34. Anne Stapleton, 1875, aged 24 years. Alongside Mary, the wife of Thomas Mock, 1876. Anne Maria, the beloved wife of James Trott. And that's 1875, and she was just 23 years old. This is a quite magical place. There's some well-worn main paths running through the cemetery. You can see one here. But a lot of it is allowed to grow wild with the flowers and the grasses, and it just looks so peaceful. This is to Sarah Jeffrey. She died in 1876, aged 55. Just look at these stones. William Johns on the left and Edward Lewis on the right. Across the path from those two, Elizabeth Buxton, the wife of James Balsden, ship owner of this town, 1873. Pan right, there's more. I've just heard someone complain that they should cut all this back, but I totally disagree. I think allowing the wild grasses and flowers, buttercups and daisies to grow up, it's absolutely magical and a real find here in Bideford. Most of the stones we've seen have been from the 1870s, but here's a more recent one. This one is dated 1923, Joshua Hayward, aged 84 years, and then Matilda, his widow. And then almost lost amongst the grass is this very small stone, and it just has the initials MAC 1871. Now, just initials and date was the preferred practice of the Society of Friends, the Quakers, They didn't want anything ostentatious. So my guess is that this is a Quaker burial. And in fact close by is another one, MAN, and the date. And here, if you can see, lost amongst the wildflowers, is another one, 1868, with just initials. Well, the old cemetery in Old Town is truly a find. I'm going to leave the old cemetery at this point and go across to the higher cemetery, the newer one, and see what we can find there. But don't miss out on this one, this is special. Well, right next door to the old cemetery in Old Town is a children's play area, and yet all the way around the boundary are gravestones. So I'm guessing this used to be part of the old cemetery, which they've cleared to use into a recreational area. It's quite incongruous to see children's swings and roundabouts and climbing frames, and on the back wall here are just rows of memorials to the dead. If we look at one or two of the inscriptions, we can see they're the same date as in the cemetery we've just visited. So quite clearly this used to be part of the old cemetery, and they've done a clearance job. This is Richard Ching. There's a lot of wind today, I apologise if it's coming through. Richard Ching, yeoman of this town, 1875, aged 70. This one is William H. Parkhouse, a member of the Senior Men's Church Bible class, 1886, aged 31 years. I think that's a 1. This stone was erected by the fellow members of his class, and then his wife is beneath that. This is James Morrison, formerly Sergeant Major of the 12th Royal Lancers and late of the ND Hussars, that'll be North Devon Hussars, who died in 1874, aged 66. William White Peard died at Chicago. I guess the NA is probably North America. 1875, aged 25. I hope you can make it out. In remembrance of the children of Robert and Mary Werry, Lewis Crocker, who was drowned at Chirkham whilst bathing. And there's a Alice Crocker underneath, who died at 8 months. And beneath that, Sarah Jane, died aged 21 years. Along this boundary wall they've positioned the large stones with the small stones in front. These are the ones we saw earlier with just initials and a date on, and we believe belong to the Quakers. This is to the memory of William Bradshaw Bishop, of distinguished military reputation, having fought through the Peninsula and at Waterloo. He died in 1862. And then you notice here, would have originally had no connection with this stone at all, WBO 1829 and MO 1852. Henry Holloway was an officer of the Inland Revenue, 1857, aged 39, leaving a beloved wife and 2 children to lament their loss. Jane was the wife of John Williams of Bideford, a clockmaker, 1864, aged 70. And along this wall we have another member of the Church Bible class. This is Thomas James, member of the Men's Senior Church Bible class, born 1863, died 1885. This stone was erected by his fellow members, just as the other one was. Robert Pollock, gentleman, who was late paymaster of Her Majesty's 51st Regiment of Foot, 1847. Archibald Winters, Master Mariner, 1870. William Ellis, a builder of this town, 1861. Well, I'm leaving the old town with very mixed feelings. We found the bit of the old cemetery was quite magical. And then we come next door and there's a very large area here, which is where they've cleared most of the cemetery, turned it into a recreation and children's playground, and built the fire station. You can see the building there behind the children's play equipment. They've tried to preserve the memorials by positioning them all around the outside, but I'm afraid the magic has gone. It's worth visiting for the pit they've preserved. Do come and see that. Let's move on to the newer graveyard. Well, I've gone further out of town now, and I've come into the later cemetery. This one still opened in 1889, so it's not that new. Well, on the right hand side you can see we have the older memorials, and on the left are some newer ones. And again, we've got quite a lot of wind here, so excuse the noise. And then further away, over the wall and past those larger trees, looks to be the newest section. This one commemorates the children of Frederick and Lucy Shortridge. Mabel, 1896, aged 7 years, and Walter James, 1902, aged 7 years. I really love it when they allow these graveyards to grow the wildflowers, the daisies, dandelions, buttercups. A tiny little stone, still standing bolt upright. I can make out the name Sydney, and was the son of somebody Jones. Died in 1894, aged 6 months. Lance Corporal William Isaac Poole, 7th Dragoon Guards, 1918, aged 28. And 2 more war graves standing out. S.M. Maxwell, Chief Engineer Officer, SS Steamship Royal Crown, 1945, aged 48. This one to J.G. Hancock, able seaman, Royal Navy, HMS Bideford, 1944, aged 19. Well, I've moved across to the newest section of the graveyard. A very simple inscription: Billy and Gordon. Of what shall a man be proud if he is not proud of his friends? No dates, no surnames, just Billy and Gordon. Raymond John Blight, 2006. And on the other side of the stone we see Clifford Charles Kendall has actual photographs of his dogs. I think I'm right in saying these are King Charles Spaniels. Peter Albert James Adamson. There's a picture of a two-seater sports car on the top corner of the stone. I do apologise with the wind noise, it's causing some real problems. It's horse racing for Arthur John Prowse, 2018, aged 89. And as always, there are children's graves. Harley Matthew Ball was just 15 days old when he left, and at the top we got a picture of the man in the moon. Raymond Clark, 1946 to 2010, has a stone plinth and 3 stone books on top of the plinth. Here rests Margaret Rosemary Pat, a mum to 4 children and many a cat. And further down the stone, Mervyn John Pat, the boy whose dog chased her cat, but later won her heart. The cat got away. Bob, Robert Churchill, aged 83, as a football player in the top right of the stone. Next to him is Lofty, Reg Kraut, and he's got a JCB digger. Well, they're full of nicknames here. Phil Brock, Brockabilly, our king. The image on the top left hand side is of a old style microphone used in broadcasting. Well, I shall call it a day at this point. We've covered 3 graveyards in Bideford, all quite distinctive, all very interesting. If you're in Bideford, it's well worth taking time to explore them. Well, that's it for today. Till the next time.